keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast.
Boom. What is going on, everybody? This is Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Rob, and I'm keeping it real.
Hey, and we're back. We're back on schedule.
We're doing the damn thing.
We're doing the thing.
Daytona's coming up. We got to look good, okay?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And so is Raleigh. I can't have the Reptile Talk banner on the table that says new episodes every week after 4 weeks of travel hiatus.
Yeah.
Because there will be that one person that's like,
That's okay, buddy. It's okay.
It'll be okay. But how are you doing, Rob? It's a new week.
It is a new week. I've been working my ass off at work and not getting home until almost 8:30 every day. So sweating to death out in the field. But I got to go do some cool field herping last weekend. So
yes.
I guess that makes it worth it.
Yes, you did. We're gonna have to talk about that on another episode because
hell yeah,
them pictures, bro.
Bro, I literally was just about to set up the my memory card for my actual camera because I brought it down, and one of the things I wanted to do over the last couple of years is take actual pictures of snakes, and so I brought my camera with me down there and took some actual photos of the snakes we saw. So I haven't even gone through them yet. I haven't looked at them on the computer yet. So as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to be going through those pictures and looking at all that. So
hell yeah. I'm stoked for that.
How you been?
I can't complain, man. Just chugging along, taking care of stuff, hatching babies. It is that time.
My baby corn snakes hatched, the ones that were on the shelf.
I saw that. Focati round 2, man.
yeah, the ones that hatched in my living room just by leaving them in my living room.
leaving them there. Oh, God.
Small clutch, but there's one egg that hasn't come out, but all the rest of the babies are out, and they look really good. Honestly, I'm more impressed with this year's babies than last year's babies.
Heck yeah, dude. And this the same pair?
Same pair, yeah.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. I'm here for it, man. I'm definitely here for it. Before we jump into tonight's episode, of course, shout out to our sponsor, Black Box Cages. Go check them out. Information is streaming on the bottom of the screen right here. If you're listening, audio only, description, link is in the description to their website. Go check them out. Get yourself a new cage or a rack system, and you can use code Reptile Talk to save a little bit on your order. And yeah, let's jump into this. So if you're not in North Carolina, Denver, Colorado, or I'll let them talk about the next location, then you might not have heard, but hopefully you have at least seen some posts about the new All American Reptile and Plant Expo that is popping up. And I'm super stoked to have Nick and Troy here, the promoters of the show, to talk about the show, and wanted to take this opportunity to just kind of highlight them because some people might not know who the heck they are, and talk about this show that is truly taking reptile shows to another level, trying to bring a Tinley-like quality show to other parts of the country. So without further ado, let's get these guys in here. Nick and Troy, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
Howdy.
Thank you for jumping on and hanging with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
Heck yeah. So let's just jump right into it. For the people who are like, who the hell are these people? Can you guys just give us a brief synopsis of your kind of story in reptiles?
Yeah. Who goes first?
Troy, you got it.
Okay. Awesome. Troy Schroeder. I'm in Fort Dodge, Iowa, which is called the flyover state because nobody stops here. And my wife and I, born and raised in Iowa, and about 25 years ago, her and I walked into Mark and Allie, who own Animal Plastics, who do cage.
Hell yeah.
Back in the day, they had a place called Doc Stop in Des Moines, Iowa. It was a reptile store, and we got a blue tongue skink. And from there, it turned into 40 or so reptiles in our house, and then we immediately opened a pet store of our own. And then we jumped into the breeding things, bearded dragons and leopard geckos, Burmese pythons, and then about 12 years ago, I think it is now, or 13 years ago, something like that, I dove back in with ball pythons. And so outside the reptile side of things, we also have a photography studio. I've been very involved in that industry as well. And we can talk more about how those two kind of collided into, me wanting to help out in the show world later on. But that's the elevator version of where I'm at.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
So I'm Nick Sloan Reptiles. Been in Denver my entire life. I spent 3 years in Arizona, but it doesn't really count because it's hot as hell, and I was like 9 years old, so it doesn't matter. So been in Denver my entire life, been breeding ball pythons. Well, my first thing I ever bred was garter snakes, and that was in 2002. And then ball pythons quickly came after 2004. I've been breeding ball pythons and now 44, 45 different species of reptile. So been around for a really long time. I took a hiatus for a few years. My brother and I have been doing Sloan Reptiles forever. Took a hiatus for a few years, just needed to take a break. Came back and been breeding, not as at the level we were back in like the early 2000s, but been breeding. And then the show stuff was sort of fall in the lap, let's go. And now it's taken off a lot faster than I think any of us thought.
Heck yeah. So what was kind of the inception or the thought process for getting this show started?
So here in Denver, we've had a slew of shows, but it's never really been anything consistent. One of the shows that came through, the lady ended up, her husband and son went to jail for a bunch of animal abuse charges. So she is not legally allowed to own reptiles anymore. So she had ran shows for a while, and then we have RepsCon and Show Me shows, and Reptilian Nation was coming here twice a year. And then the location they were in, he wasn't enjoying them very much, and he had decided, he had started to say he wasn't going to come back. And then, so I originally was like, okay, I've thought about this. I've considered it for a long time. Let's look into it. Well, the place that he was at, we almost had a contract with, and then they sold and became a homeless shelter. So then it really Ryan was like, I'm not going to come back to Denver. There's nowhere to go. And it's not an inaccurate statement. There is not a lot of venues in Colorado that are very well set up for how a good show would run. A few different things that are bigger places, but the parking's terrible. You got to, essentially, if you want to go to a reptile show on the weekend in some of these other areas up north, you're going to be spending, you're like, hey, I have a family of 4. You're going to spend $200 on food, parking, tickets, everything. And you're like, I don't want to spend $200 just to go walk around a reptile show or to go spend more money at the reptile show. So we fortunately found a place. My wife and I had originally been talking about it, and Troy was sort of looped into it. We had breakfast right before he drove out to Pomona, and he was like, Ryan's not coming back. Do you know who's trying? And I was like, I'm looking. And so he's like, well, let me know. I want to know. And this is only this last January. This is how quickly this happened. So we looked around. We're like, okay, where do they have gun shows? They may allow us to have reptiles easier if they have guns there. And so we had Douglas County Fairgrounds pop up, which, it's an amazing, we love this venue. We talk about it all the time in our group, is that we're spoiled by the Douglas County Fairgrounds, and everywhere else that we are dealing with sucks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we found this place. I messaged Troy. I was like, hey, we have it. We're going to go. And I think we signed a contract, and within a week we had a website and announced, it was actually we announced on my birthday of all days, and it just shot off from there. Like, I think everyone was chomping at the bit for a show in Denver that was run by people that actually cared about the people in Denver. So yeah, we have a place, Castle Rock, 32,000 square feet. We could probably go to 100,000 square feet and fill it, but those don't exist here right now. At least not at the price point that people want us to do, right? Like if we went to the convention center, people would be freaking out like, wow, you want $1,500 per 10 by 10 space? It's like, I don't have $1 million to shell out myself. So you have to help.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how that happened. Sort of in a long short of it. Troy, do you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, I think that's right on. And, Lisa and I had talked quite a few times about, whether or not we try to start a show. Piggying back to what I was talking about photography wise, like we had a lot to do with a lot of photography conventions throughout the country. And I've always really enjoyed the trade show aspect of things. And so it was kind of always just on the fence or on the plate. And like I said, Nick and I were at breakfast, man, and it kind of just worked out, and here we are. And so far so good. So I feel like it was meant to be.
Yeah. Heck yeah. That's super exciting. And I definitely get like having a little bit of the home territory represented is definitely nice for sure. I also think it's impressive. So, I mentioned before, right when we brought you guys on, like bringing a higher level show to the space, right? I think across the country, everybody's familiar with their small local shows, that are obviously necessary, right? We need those kind of shows to exist. But then we have the shows like, obviously NARBC, Tinley, and and Dallas, and we've got like Daytona and stuff. But outside of those are there aren't really very many like true convention center style shows that exist, and that's really what you guys are also kind of bringing with this space as well. It's not just another, hey, throw some reptiles on a table and try to sell them, so I think that is a massive attraction point, especially for those who have been around long enough, who have been lucky enough to get to some of those shows and really see like what next level really is. So massive kudos on even trying to do that, because I'm sure it would be a lot easier to just find a place to just throw some tables and put some snakes on.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah.
Finding like, 8,000 and 10,000 and 15,000 square feet, hotel or small event centers is somewhat a dime a dozen, and but when you creep up into that 30 and 50 and 60 and 100,000, man, it just starts. And then not only on top of that, you take those size facilities, will they take a reptile show? And so your numbers get cut again. And so, it's tough. And I think Nick and I both agree, like, we wanted a mid-size show, and then Charlotte really being a large show. It's basically the same size as Tinley as far as square foot and table outlay and whatnot. But we didn't want to reinvent the wheel necessarily, but we wanted to add something different. And so I think that mid-size, starting at that 30, 50, 60,000, somewhere in there, and then going up, really gives us the ability to, take it from just that smaller show to more of a mid-size and above.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, I think off of that, like Jeremy, like absolutely, that's our goal. We want to have like something that people are excited about and that they want to travel to, or they look forward to it twice a year, because that's our goal, is twice a year. We don't want to just come in and do one show in a location, because there are 2 times a year that are really good for shows, and I think that most of us know that. And we go to those shows and we vend those shows, and Troy and I have both been vending shows. Troy vends a lot more shows than I do nowadays, but we've both been vending shows for a really long time, and I think that was one of the biggest pushes for like me, was like that there needs to be something that's a draw. Like, the smaller shows are needed. 100%, absolutely. Like if you're a new breeder, or you're a breeder that doesn't do like volume or high end or anything like that, like a smaller show is needed, because you're like, I can't spend higher table money. Like, it's a big cost. I'm not going to make the money, all that kind of stuff. And I get it. Trust me. Like, we need those smaller shows. But then the big shows are the ones, like, our goal is to advertise the heck out of it. Like, if we're going to do a show, if we don't have people through the door and we advertise we want to advertise correctly. We don't want to just like, hey, every mom and every dad that's like, I'm bored on Sunday, I want to bring my kids to a show or anything like that. We don't want that. Like, our advertising on social media is very directed. Like, hey, do you like reptiles? Do you like plants? Do you like arachnids? Do you like, sometimes fish. We have some fish vendors, but like, we very specifically get after it. And if I'm forgetting anything that anyone's like, why didn't you mention this? Like, it's because that's how it works. We forget about things. But we direct it because we want to have those people come through the door that want to spend the money. Like, we can't just want people through the door. Like, obviously for Troy and I, like, yeah, more people through the door is great, but that's not going to be a long, successful show. Like, the longevity of our show is reliant on getting people through the door that actually are going to spend money. Because the vendors aren't going to keep coming back if it's just people coming to look. And like, that's our main goal. Like, we want to have a show that draws the attention of everybody. Like, hey, if you're close nearby, you want to come to this show. And that's where Charlotte really came in. We're like, that portion of the East Coast does not have anything that's big. Like, and Charlotte admittedly wound up way bigger than we had originally anticipated. We're also very picky about how we want our venue to look. Like,
yeah,
I went in and saw the smallest hall of this Park Expo Center, and I was like, nope, can't do it. Like, we gotta go big. And so we moved some stuff around. I think hopefully no one remembers now, but we did have October dates for a minute.
Yeah,
right.
So, but yeah, that's our main goal, right? Like, get people that are going to spend money with our vendors through the door, and good vendors. That's the big one.
Yeah. There's definitely like a balance of it all. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, what was the tie-in with plants versus just a regular reptile show?
So, I started growing plants like 8 years ago. I just sort of got into it. Reptile cages, I was throwing stuff in there, and then I'd join groups that would be like, hey, how do I, like, what can I grow in here? What can I grow in there? And it eventually took off. I started bringing in stuff from Indonesia and bringing in stuff from Thailand and all that kind of, like, all those weird things. I have some species that I brought in that was like the first time that it had ever been brought in, and it doesn't even have a scientific name yet. So I brought in those, and I was selling them. And originally I had talked a little bit with Potter, and then I was like, hey, like, we should add a plant aspect. And like, Potter's got a well-oiled machine, so adding something in was like, really, do I want to? Like, do I want to put the extra work in, or do I just have my well-oiled machine work? And like, Potter puts on a fantastic group of shows. So we'd originally talked that way, and then like that just sort of fizzled away. And I was like, man, I think the two hobbies marry each other really well. I mean, Troy's already starting to get it into the plant addiction of it, which I apologize, Troy, because I know what that means for your household.
Yeah, yes.
But it really does marry really well, because like I met a ton of people, but also like reconnected with a ton of reptile people during the entire plant phase. Was they were like, oh yeah, like Sloan reptiles. Oh my gosh, like I have this and I have that. Like, I've been breeding these, and I had some people that I was selling to all the time that were like, that ended up buying a bunch of ball pythons from me too. And so there's a very big tie-in during the selling of all that kind of stuff. And I was like, we have to do this. And plant people traditionally don't have shows. There are new shows popping up, but traditionally there's not like an expo or a show like we put on, like a reptile show. Like, even small reptile shows, they have like plant swaps and plant meetups where like a few friends are like, hey, let's meet up at the park and set up, and people will come buy our plants from us. But like, there's not advertising. There's not a really big push. Like, most recently, we actually had a show in Denver. Troy came out to Denver for the weekend 2 weekends ago.
Yeah, yep.
And there was another local plant community, and she actually put on a show, and she did an amazing job. It was a really, really nice show, but it wasn't at the level of even our smallest reptile shows, because plant people are just, they're not accustomed to it yet. But she got a good number of people through the door.
Yep.
And she had some really good setups with vendors and stuff like that, and we really had a good time there. And she's actually going to come set up at our show and hang out. So we like working with small guys, but that was sort of like how do we marry it in? How do we get more people into the reptile industry, and how do we get more people into the plant industry, and how do we keep everything flowing? Like right now, all of us can say like the market's down. Like we are also on our sales of we have like the best way to really get it going is new people in it. And maybe Rebecca with her kids comes to buy a plant, and then the kid's like, hey, I want a crest gecko. And then there goes the new addiction, right? Because like Troy and Lisa walked into a pet shop and got a blue tongue skink, and there it is. So that was my thought process. Like, how do we marry them, and how do we grow the industry in a substantial way? And like, these people are already collectors and understand taking care of things that die relatively easily.
Right.
And you know, Nick really understood all that. And so for like me, you know, Nick sent me to a couple plant stores in Denver before the show to like hand out some flyers and stuff. And I got talking to one of the guys, and I'm gonna put this all in like dumb terms, like how I understood it, right? And so Nick's gonna laugh at me probably. He knows all the scientific names and shit. But the guy's talking to me about like this like Monstera or something that has like a white leaf and a green leaf together, right? So same leaf, one part's white, one part's green. And I'm like, oh, this is really neat, you know. And the guy's talking to me about it, and he's talking to me like I'm explaining to somebody what a piebald is, and it like dawns on me, like I'm like, oh, this is like a snake, like, you know. And so like he and I are talking about the genetics, and I'm telling him about different snakes, and he's like, oh, so it'd be kind of like this plant, and he would show it to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really cool, you know, it's got this speckles in it, or it's got this pink leaf or something, and it just really dawned on me like how really hand in hand our industries really go. Like they see all these genetic anomalies or whatever, and they know the genetic side of it, and that's obviously such a big thing on at least the ball python and other things, other reptiles. And so they really did, because at first I was just like, oh, there's plants, dude. Like Nick's excited about these plants. Like I get it, man. They're kind of neat. Like but it didn't dawn on me until I really understood that they are just like us, you know, and it's this genetic process. And so anyways, Lisa and I have kind of dove in. We were in Kansas City this weekend and hitting some plant shops. You know, we have a show coming to Kansas City, which I know you kind of brought that up a little bit earlier. And anyways, again, like, you know, it's almost like the new addiction. Like I really enjoy learning about the plants and, you know, going from there. So.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart move too, because a lot of the newer people who are getting into the hobby are already on that plant train. And there's so much crossover between like the people who are into oddities and the people who are into, bioactive enclosures, and then people who are into geckos and the plants. It's all kind of together, because I think that the people who like started a lot of the bigger shows, like the older shows, are like snakes and lizards, and then maybe you get a little bit of turtles on the side. And it's so different. The whole landscape is so different now with the people who are getting in, because so many people are looking at, oh, I don't want to get 100 snakes. I want to have like a really cool tank for my crested gecko, or for my chihuahua, or for my lychee, or, you know, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think that is really smart, because like one of the things that we're seeing with the fish hobby is that they're having a tough time getting younger people involved. And so they're seeing a steady decline of the hobby, of just the amount of people who are into it. Whereas if you can get people who are, okay, a mom might not be cool with getting a tarantula, but maybe a little gecko, or, you know, maybe just a plant for them to have in their room to test out the waters. That sort of stuff is such a easy entryway for someone to be able to get in and get invested, you know?
Absolutely. And I think you can like you were kind of talking about, like the mom and the son. I think, son gets a gecko, mom maybe gets this cool plant or terrarium or right? Like you can almost make both people happy, and I think it's really neat. And obviously, I think that's neat that you might even get families kind of working on this little project together. And so yeah, it's definitely gone hand in hand, and it's been a really neat to see the plant people come in and learn about the reptiles. And it's neat to see my reptile circle of friends being like, Josh Jackie from Ball Shed and Danny Schumann from Schumann and Sons, like they've dove like headfirst into the plant thing too. And so we all kind of talk, and we're like newbies, and it's neat to like feel that way again. And so, yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I think that's definitely like one of the cooler aspects too, right? Like getting people into a new, like excited about something again. Like a lot of us, like Troy was saying, like we're in like a group message with Josh Lundberg and all those guys, like, and Danny and them. And it's like, we've been breeding ball pythons or reptiles in general for a really long time. And like, it's like, okay, like we'll make some cool stuff. And like, that's like, personally for me, like the snakes became a hobby again. I was like, it needs to be a hobby. I have to like it.
Right.
I have to. That's what I was 2 years old when I caught my first snake. I have to love it, or else I'm just an idiot. So that is what I really like to see of it, is like people being like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome. And our plant vendors, like for Denver, I can tell you right now, they were so hesitant because they were like, I don't know if we're going to do it. And then they did the show and they're like, oh my gosh, like chomping at the bit. Let's go. And some of our vendors want to drive to our Kansas City show from Denver to give it a shot. And originally they were like, dude, like a show, like
and they were used to like these plant swap $20 tables or come for free. And so you start talking about a couple $100 for a table, or they might want 2 tables or whatever. They were hesitant and didn't understand it, and then they had really overnight success at the show. And like Nick said, they're kind of chomping at the bit to get more table space and bigger booths and wanted to come further to a show. And so that's been neat too, to see like their evolution of things as well.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah. That is so cool. I think that for those people, there's just no frame of reference. And when there is no frame, we're trying to conceptualize that for someone who's never done anything like that is really tough. And for the plant people, there's like flower shows, but it's more like a cat show or a dog show where they're like graded and blah, 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 blah. But our type of shows are just completely different. And trying to explain that to people when they've never experienced something like that is kind of tough.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of explanation that doesn't really, I mean, even in the reptile community, like the explanation of like our idea doesn't translate well. I mean, obviously, like for our name, like I would have loved that you could understand, like we have arachnids and invertebrates, and we do have some fish people, and like I wish we could just like spread out. We actually have one mushroom growing guy that comes to Denver.
And the oddities people, like Rob was talking, like we have a handful of those guys as well. That's really neat too.
So I wish we could be like the all-American reptile, plant, invertebrate, arachnid. Show, and then it's like, and well, like even trying to sell this show to people that have been doing reptile shows for a really long time, like it's not a cakewalk. We have had a little bit of pushback. Like what's the difference? I hope we can show you. And that's where we want to have like we have Cusco come out to Denver, and now he's coming to Charlotte. He's going to come to Denver again, and to Kansas City as well. He's already texted me and been like, Kansas? I'm like, oh, I forgot to text you. But he does such a phenomenal job with videography. Like we want to bring video and say, hey, this is what we do. Like these are the educational shows we do. These are like for most of our areas, we have food trucks. Like that's a hard one. Venues are very hard because they have stupid contracts with people that do crap.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, if they give them 25% of their sales, I was like, who's going to do that?
Yeah.
That's like asking me to get 25% of my sales because there's another ball python guy at a show. Okay, great. So like that's been one of the harder sells, like to people in the industry itself. Like, and I came out to Winston-Salem with you, Jeremy, and like when we were talking, like there's a little bit of pushback, like, oh, like I have all my 15 shows. I'm like, trust me, those are needed shows. We're trying to bring something where you can have a weekend and be like, oh wow, those, and not say that that's how it works always, but like those 5 shows that I have planned, I would have made the same amount.
Yeah. Well, I think to add on to what Nick's saying, like I think all of us as vendors have been lied to too. Like, and so it's tough sometimes talking to other vendors and explaining like what we have for, budgets and advertising and what the advertising is. And they kind of look at you like, oh, I've been told that before, and so I think that some of us are conditioned to, it's hard to trust a new, show promoter. And so, I think Denver, we really won over a lot of people, and I'm certainly not going to say that's going to happen every time, but we're trying to do the same thing that worked there, and we'll find times where that doesn't work at different shows. But I do believe vendors have been, over the years, somewhat lied to, and you think you're walking into the show that's been advertised really well, and it's kind of a bomb or a dud, and then you're like, hey, did you see any advertising? Like, no, and so it's tough. The trust has been broken, and so I think there's even a part of us that's trying to repair that for all of us, if that makes sense. So
yeah 100%. And I think I said this, we had done an Instagram live a couple of weeks back, and I mentioned the fact that you guys, first of all, the Denver show seemed to go absolutely incredibly. The video content that I had seen, it really looked like just a phenomenal place to be at that time. So I'm super excited for what Charlotte is going to be. And I think we certainly get those vendors that are like, I have my shows, this is what I do, whatever. And then of course there's other elements of pushback. I'm sure we've all already discussed, like, oh, table prices, it's expensive, versus what I already pay. And it's like, yes, for sure. But have you looked at, if you were going to vend at Tinley or a Daytona, do you know what that costs? But there's also a reason that a certain caliber of vendor is at that show, because they either have the high end stuff, or they have the volume where they can afford to make that kind of investment, and it's not going to break their bank and whatever. So entering that space, of course, certainly comes with its challenges. But I think once people, and I know I've said this to you guys already, like once people see it and then start talking about it, that's when it's like, you can't miss this experience. And I think, like, when we talk about Daytona and Tinley, for sure, like we talk about, like, the hang is so much just just as much of a part of the show as, looking at all of the wonderful animals. Like, we love going and hanging out afterwards and doing all that stuff. So I think that really is going to make this, that much more special. As people are trying to like feel it out and figure it out. And I think, again, the fact that you guys have both come out to North Carolina at multiple times, and you've met with vendors, you've been talking with people face to face, that speaks volumes, especially when like the show hasn't even happened yet. So it's not like you guys, like, we're here and then you're like, hey, we really need more vendors, like we gotta just start showing up and shaking hands and kissing babies. It's like, no, like, we want you to know who we are, what we've got going on, and we want to have a discussion with you face to face. That establishes a totally different layer of trust with people. Just being able to see your face, shake your hand, have that conversation, ask some questions and get answers in real time, instead of having that person have it fester and they're playing tug of war with themselves on whether or not to do the show. It's like, hey, I got to know about this. Bam, you're right there. And I think all these elements have really helped shape what we can expect with the show coming to Charlotte, and future shows that you guys put on in other locations. And just as everything starts to grow, coming from starting at the ground level, of course, you'll find ways to improve and do all these things along the way. It's just how things work as they grow and develop. But you guys have established such a solid foundation, to create that trust amongst vendors and kind of like pull a little bit and be like, hey, no, like this is what's actually going on. This is what we're trying to bring to the space. Like if this is what you want, take that chance, take that chance and jump in with us, and and you won't be sorry about it.
Yeah, that's the hope, man. Definitely a goal. And I'm Jeremy, like you were saying, I really enjoy the after hours being together. I really enjoy the experience of a show. I think Nick and I have tried to add to that a little bit, like keeping the vendors together Friday night, whether that's buying some food and some booze or something, and having a little get together after show setup. Kansas City has like some really good what do I say, like the hotel itself is absolutely phenomenal. We'll have a great place for hangout. And then I think, that's a December show. So we didn't talk about that briefly. I know it's December 6th to the 8th. But we also have May dates for Kansas City. And it has this beautiful courtyard that I really think, we could set up, bags and whatever and have some food. And, so I think that that's something too that I think we bring is, we try to keep everybody together. And, some of us go off to different dinners and things like that. And I think that's great. I think networking is great. I think seeing your friends is really important. But if, one night we can try to at least offer an opportunity for everybody to hang out and have an experience, I think that's important.
And that's off of that, like we actually haven't really announced it yet. And it'll be happening for Denver. So like for Denver last time we were like, hey, let's get pizza, let's have beer, like on Friday night, everyone just stay here. And I can tell you, I can't tell you how fast pizza disappears when all
we're gonna have to double down on that order.
All of us are like, it's time to go eat, and we're like, there's nothing. Okay, so we don't get anything. But so on Saturday, like we've been contemplating. All right, do we do a US ARC auction? Do we do like what is always been happening at other shows, or do we do something different? And we've had some vendors approach us and all that kind of things, like, hey, can we try this? Can we try this? And this time around in Denver, we're gonna do it here. I don't know if we're gonna get into the Charlotte because like we're really, really pushing like Charlotte, like just getting the show built. But in Denver, we're going to do a sort of a food truck, hopefully beer truck. We're trying to figure it out, but beer truck outside on Saturday night, do a US ARC benefit, like silent auction, have some live music playing and that kind of thing. And we'll have a tent outside with hopefully some silent auctions and stuff like that. So the vendors, you get in for free. If we have people coming through the door, they can buy a $5 raffle ticket that puts all the money to US ARC, and then all the silent auction stuff goes to there. I need to look into it a little bit more on like the plant side, or like if we can donate to some kind of plant conservation group or something like that. They don't really have. You're not going to fight the USDA. Like,
yeah, there's no fight USDA.
don't grow this plant here because it kills our potatoes, and you're like, I'm gonna put you on that. But like looking into something like that, so we can have some plant silent auctions as well. But even if it goes to US ARC, like those vendors may be into it. But we're gonna have like a sort of another hangout opportunity for our vendors to be at, just like an auction or anything like that, to get you in. But like, we want it to benefit US ARC. We want it to benefit stuff, but we also want it to be like a cool hangout instead of like everybody splitting off and going spending godless amounts of money on just one dinner. Hopefully all just come and be able to stick around and hang out, make it more like a community thing. We don't necessarily want it to be, we don't want to just keep reinventing the wheel. We want to create something new that, I do get to hang out with the isopod breeder. Like, I don't know, I'm a stupid nerd. So like, I will talk to every vendor because I don't have a species of reptile that I'm gonna be one of those dumb comments on the internet like, I hate that one. Like, I don't get why you hate one species of reptile. That doesn't make any sense. Like I would keep them all if I could, but we all know you don't have time for that. So
I don't know. Jeremy has like 9 billion animals, and it's every animal you can think of. I think there's probably animals there we don't know about.
That might be true.
Like a dreadfoot tortoise.
That's true. Not many people know I have a redfoot tortoise. So.
All right. Yeah. And Rob's over here hatching shit on his living room table or something. I don't know. I don't remember what you said it was, but I'm curious as to what they were. Nice. All right. That's all right. Yeah. Just throw them on the living room table. They'll be fine.
Hey,
They're fine. They'll hatch eventually. When they're ready to come out, they'll come out.
That's awesome.
Troy recently got Australian water dragon eggs.
I just got more last night. Yeah. Yeah, I just put more away last night. So the first batch doesn't look great. I'm gonna hold out some hope. Last night's looked really good, so hopefully they're a little bit better off. But yeah.
That's really cool. I bred Chinese water dragons a long time ago, but the Australians are really freaking cool. I never kept them before.
Yeah, it's exciting. And we did a 6-foot by 10-foot greenhouse in our basement that we did, reptile lighting, but then also did plant lights, and we put in live plants throughout it, and that's been a lot of fun. And so yeah. Hey, you want to say hello? Hello, people.
Bottle flip.
All right. Yeah, he's coming outside to eat his dinner. I guess he gets to listen to us yahoos. So he just got done nursing at the ICU for the day. So
oof.
Yeah, man.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are trying to gear this a little bit more towards the unusual stuff you don't see at all the shows.
I think both of us would, answer that with a big yes. The problem, Rob, is finding them people, and then finding them. They tend to seem to be further away than you want them to be, and then they throw that, it's a table fee and this and that, and I got to drive and. Yes, I think Nick and and we've done, I think, a decent job of finding some of those people, but I don't think we're near where we would love to be. And Nick, I don't know if you have a different opinion than that, but I would think we're probably pretty close to the same opinion.
Yeah. So Denver, it's gotten better. I think from what we're used to, like walking into a show, like all of us walk around like ball pythons, crescent geckos, ball pythons, crescent geckos. And like when we did Denver, we had to wait list people pretty quickly. And we still had comments like, there was a lot of ball pythons. I'm like, well, that's just sort of the market. Like even the people that say like they don't breed ball pythons, they have ball pythons on the table.
Right.
So like we really push, and like I'm willing to call everybody and be like, I want you at the show. Like, I would love for you to be there. And like, it's like Denver, like I really push like Phil Leitz. I've finally got him to set up a table. Cause I'm like, dude, you're in Colorado. Like, come, there's no one that breeds Uromastics like you do, or Xenogama or Chuck Wallace, all those guys. Like, come to the show. So he's going to be at the show, and I'm really excited about that. But like, I would love a lot more diverse species breeders, because that's what we market. Like,
right.
I think we do an okay job. Like, we do a good job of being the most diverse show in the areas that we're in. Mm-hmm. But I'd still like to be even more diverse, because like the market is shifting. Like Troy and I both breed ball pythons is like our majority thing that we do, but the market is shifting, and people are getting more into the other obscure species. I think really at the moment, like micro species is a huge thing. Like people love something that they can keep on their desk and not feel like they're torturing it inside of a tiny little 8x8 by 12 bubble. And so like that has been our biggest reach, is trying to get those people to come. And like Denver, there's not a ton of diverse species breeders. Like we don't, you can't go outside. Like they can't breed them outside. And if they are here for a long time, like Sierra de Morelia lived in Colorado for a really long time, and then moved to Florida. I'm like,
I mean, there's two guys on here, that probably have a connection to a guy that I know has like some black dragons or something crazy up in a facility that could come down and set up, and
Are you talking about the mystical ponytail?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I actually got to see a really nice, I would say pretty well full grown black, Chris Chris from Epic Style has a beautiful, black dragon or whatever you guys call them. Corey Martin has wonderful monitors. I mean, just some crazy monitors and things. And that's the people, we'd like to get, is get these people in there that have something, even if it's for show right now. I think it's just nice for people to see that stuff and maybe get excited about it, because it does seem like there's not enough people breeding some of that stuff, and versus us, right, who all have these piles of snakes. And so it would be neat, but it does seem tough to find some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think like the hardest thing too is like the scheduling of shows and people being able to be at them, right? Like, so like Nick from Cold Blooded Earth, October was going to be a great time for Charlotte, but not September. So now, like, shoot, I would have loved to have Nick there, because like blood pythons, those things are freaking killer. And now we don't, like, that he would have been an awesome one to have there. And then like Brian Sussin from Sundown Reptiles, he's out of the country. Like, he's like, hey, I'm gonna be gone like all of September. And I was like, man, you sure?
Yeah. You got anybody you can send?
And I'm sure he's going somewhere like crazy, because I think he travels a lot. Like, he's probably like, oh no, I'm going to Indonesia. And it's like, yeah, well, please come to our show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pop into Charlotte on your way out.
Come back early.
Yeah.
Only a week before the end of September, so just come on out.
Right.
So that's like the hard part too. Like, obviously all those guys tend to have like, they're not doing this as a business. So ball python people, we know, like, a lot of them do this as a business, not as many as probably used to, but they are always going to do the shows. They're like, oh yeah, let's go. And like these other obscure species breeders are like, I don't need to. Like,
that's how I feel.
Yeah, right. Like I know you breed scrubs, Rob, and like the scrub community is like, hey, you hatched a clutch of scrubs, great, I want them. And like, needing to have them on a table and talk to people that have no idea what they're talking about, like. But
Rob, you're more than welcome to come bring them and talk about them.
That's what we were talking about. I probably will end up bringing some to talk about them.
Yeah, I think that like scrubs need to be better represented. Like, they're more difficult to take care of than a ball python. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like, they're not a Boland's, right? Like, you're like, oh, there's like 6 people in the U.S. that know how to do this. Like they're getting done a little bit more regularly, and I think if people like just had access to them and got to see them and hold them, because like most people have this stupid misconception, like, hey, these things kill you when you pull them out of their cage. Like, I never want one like that. Like, you sure?
Yeah.
Right.
I love my scrubs. They can bite me every single time I open the cage. I don't.
Yeah, definitely a lot of cool stuff out there that would be really neat to be represented at a show. And it would be nice to find those people, even like green tree pythons and things. I know those guys typically sell stuff so quickly that they don't see a value in a show. And again, it'd be nice just to have, somebody that had just a really neat setup. Because for one, I would hope that even if they had these animals sold and they just did a nice showpiece, hopefully it builds excitement, right? And somebody does get into it. And so that's another thing is even just trying to find the people, that, would be willing to do that. And it's definitely tough.
Well, I think that's like one of the things that we're trying to change, like a conception of what a reptile show is too. Like, it's not just about you selling something at the show. Like, it's marketing. Like, if you are there, you get to talk to people. You may not make a sale that day, but you may spend 30 minutes talking to somebody that's never had a snake before, and they're like, I don't know. And then you get to teach them about it. They're like, okay, I'm gonna dive headfirst into this, and then they're coming back to you time after time after time after time, wanting more from what you're breeding because you took the time with them.
Yeah.
I think that's something that really needs to change in the industry. Is don't go to a show and be like, oh, I rented out this space, I can do whatever I want with it, and just sit here and ignore people as they walk by, look unhappy to be here. Like, if I don't want to do a show, I'm not going to do a show. Like, I'm not going to do it because I don't. all of us are in this because we love snakes at some point. Like there may be some people that didn't. It feels weird that they would be able to start breeding anything and not have liked it before, because like, really, you're gonna waste your time. Like it's a lot of time and a lot of time to dislike something just so you can sell it. And I don't think any of us can really sell it.
Yeah.
Right. Most car salesmen still like their cars that they have.
That's true. That's very true.
I'm hoping that we can change that, right? Like we are going to try to do some YouTube stuff, but Troy and I are realizing that this takes a lot of time. And
yeah, I applaud you guys. I mean, I had a hand in a podcast for about 8 months or something, late to the mic. They're probably on here pretty shortly. I think they go on at 9:00 my time. And, it's tough. It's tough to dedicate that time, and then, even if you pre-record stuff and edit and whatnot, it's just a lot of time. So certainly thank you guys for not only taking the time with us, but just doing what you do. I understand that it takes a commitment.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we're definitely happy to have you guys on, and I'm just excited to see some folks, first of all, who are reptile breeders that really know what it is that we kind of want to see. We hear that all the time, like, oh, made by reptile keepers, for reptile keepers. And you look at it and you're like, come on, it's the same shit we've already had. Like, let's step it up a little bit. So, I mean, like, that's, to me, like, that was everything. I mean, like, when you guys were talking to me about coming to Charlotte, I was like, yes, like, this is exactly what, we need to see more across the country, is like, we want to be stepping it up and taking things to the next level and really pushing that envelope. What exists now has its place for sure. But, when you start getting into those places where, you've got the veterans or the people who are just like hardcore into it, you've only got a couple of shows that are at that kind of caliber. So it's nice to have, a breath of fresh air come into that space, and, with the same mentality of like, hey, like we don't want to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, but we want to provide another option and give you a similar experience that you're going to enjoy, I think it's such a solid point with the diversity thing, which is another thing that I applaud you guys for, is like waitlisting folks that are coming in with the same species. Like, diversity is a key thing. And I think as the market has shifted, we've seen that naturally happen. And I feel like we see it every time we have one of these economic cycles where, a bunch of people get out of ball pythons and then start breeding corn snakes or breeding king snakes or whatever. I feel like we're seeing that a bit more because ball python folks jumped into crested geckos really heavy, and now those are tanking as well a bit. So, so they're all just kind of like, crap, what do I do? So we're revisiting colubrids and a lot of that stuff too, which is great because, I mean, anybody who's been around long enough knows before the ball python craze took over, it was colubrid land, in more places than not, so it's cool to kind of see that resurgence happen in a big way. So hopefully we'll see that diversity become a little bit more common in certain spaces. I mean, we certainly don't want to be pigeonholed when we go into a show. And I think to an extent, the people who come in and say, oh, well, it's just ball pythons or it's just crested geckos, that's all they want to see. Because the reality is, if you spend some time and actually stare at the tables, you'll find some cool stuff that you didn't know was there.
Jeremy, I was just going to say, like, it's easy to see 4 and 5 and 8 displays of ball pythons, but if you walk by, Rob's table and he's got 2 or 3 or 4 scrub pythons, you're not paying attention, right? You don't see it. Right. And that's unfortunate, because then you get the comments, whether that be, from a friend to a friend or Facebook or whatever. Oh, it was a ball python show. And was it like, did you not see Rob's scrub pythons or blah, 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 And so it is, it's unfortunate that people don't stop and just slow down a tad and really check out, some stuff. So,
well, that's like why we try to partner with vendors, and we try to make sure that we get everyone's sort of represented. You can see what's going to be there. Like, you go to our website, It's not a list of names. Like, it's their logo. Click on it. It's going to take you to whatever link they've given us. If they give us more market or a website or Instagram or Facebook, it's going to take you to that. Find out what they have. And then when you're at the show, like, we have a map that you can scan, and it'll take you, hey, this is where this person is, or this person is, or this person is. Like, go look at the table. Don't beeline it through as fast as you can, because that one doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, we see people like just sort of go like this through the show and then just out the door, and I'm like, you're going that fast, huh?
All I saw were pastel ball pythons, and damn it, I'm sick and tired of it.
Yeah. I'll even admit my own guilt. Like, Lisa was asking me about a guy that's vending with us, and I was like, oh, he's all ball pythons or something. And then the next time I went, I was like, oh, I actually stopped at this table and looked. He had like one display of ball pythons, and everything else was, just different species. And so I think even I get guilty about just seeing ARS display cases, and I just think like, oh, it's a ball python, right? And so I'm guilty of it, and so I know other people obviously are as well. And so yeah, even myself, I need to slow down sometimes and pay a little more attention to what's really in front of me.
100%.
That's
where we try to work and like make sure, like, if we make a post, like, my wife is actually our social media one that does all of our content and all that kind of thing, and she like is constantly emailing our vendors like, hey, what do you have, like, what do you do, like, so that she can make a post that sort of gets a little specifically for a person. Like, our sponsorship really works with that kind of things. I can tell you right now, like, the amount of vendors that we have, it's very hard to be like a vendor shout out at every single person, because now it's getting to the point where like 3 shows across the US, we may have like 350, 400 vendors. It's like that's every single day, and that's just getting monotonous. But we put things like, hey, come see axolotls, come see like White's tree frogs or Vietnamese mossy frogs, and like we try to list off like the obscure stuff that someone's like, hey, I'm gonna have these at your show. And part of our registration process, like, tell us what you have. If you don't tell us what you have, it's sort of a detriment to you and us. Like, if you just go in there and I breed snakes, like, some of the times it's funny. We'll get a vendor like registration, and it's like, hey, what do you breed? And it's their phone number.
Like, that's not working.
That's not what that said.
Like,
and that's like what Troy and I both, I think, have realized just the kind of comments you get as like, I think our show is faceless in the fact that it's called All American Reptile Plant Expo, but like they don't realize it's just 4 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the show, like running this entire thing. So like we see these comments, we're like, oh, okay, thanks guys.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of hate out there, and it's not a lot. You catch some shit here and there, and but we're 4 humans that are just trying to do something better, or give opportunities for it to be better. And you definitely have some people that just are stuck in a small mindset. So that part is interesting too.
Yeah. And like, off of like the entire show thing, right? We are going to promise we're going to do a saying for us is we're going to throw the kitchen sink at it. Every single thing that we talk about, like radio advertising, yard signs, billboards in general, like all the things that we're going to push, Facebook, Instagram. We should probably be a little better on some other social media sites that both of us are a little too old to be into. But like
Snapchat,
TikTok. We need to
we need TikTok dances with ball pythons.
Maybe not the dances. Maybe not.
I don't know. You don't want to watch 2 really white dudes dance.
Hey, dude, that's called comedy. That's all I'm saying.
I could be. Dude, that video that I posted a little DKs is like 200,000 on TikTok and like 8 million on Instagram.
Yeah.
So
just the baby DKs. That's it. Because it's small.
But our goal, like, throw the kitchen sink at it. We're gonna do that, and hopefully the people that come through the door are gonna spend money. Like, if we have a lot of people through the door and like they're not spending money, I'm going to tell you right now, like, we feel really terrible, but like we've pushed hard.
You tried. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like, hopefully, like, there's a bit of understanding from everybody. Like, if you see the number of people through the door and they're just not spending money, it's like, well, then I don't know what's going on there. But I don't see any particular city being any more special than the other. I mean, I guess, yes, there are certain cities, like if we went and did a show there, like, that's a bad idea. But like most of the big cities that we are looking at, they're not any different than another city that a show's in, right? Like,
yeah,
these people, they're all just people, and they're going to come spend the money on animals, or they're not. And hopefully they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. I think another draw or element of draw for that is, you know, with the caliber of show that you guys are bringing, you've also got some names that are coming into these spaces that ordinarily would not come out to a show. They're not coming out to the little local regional show, you know. So I think that is another thing that kind of catches some people's eye. Like, oh, so and so is going to be there. Like, that's, you know, I got to see what they've got, because I only ever see them in Daytona, or, you know, things like that, you know. So I think that's another element of draw to get people in the door, but also like kind of informs your clientele, like, oh, well, I've never seen so and so have a $50 ball python on their table, so if I don't have a couple Benjamins in the pockets, I'm not going to the show, or I'm gonna go and, you know, and just cry. So
a lot of credit card debt.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I sometimes feel like I should set up a table that has like you know, like you could do like a loan process. Back when I was a kid, you could go into like the stereo place, right? And they would have some guy sitting over there that would give you credit, you know, and you could buy a new stereo system. I feel like I got to find that guy for reptile shows or something.
Oh, man. The ball python loan shark. That's
yeah. We'll come shake you down.
That's like how you make the reptile market like crash even harder, though, right? Like, you have 2008
loaded with debt.
Everyone has like bad loans.
Yeah.
My payment's $10 a day. It's not that much. You're like,
yeah.
But it's
your interest rate's only 39.58%.
You'll never pay this snake off ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It might be a good idea, but it also might, like, you'd show up to another show and like everyone wants to break your kneecaps. Like,
yeah, right.
This loan,
yeah,
$1,000 snake, and I paid $6,000 on it when I was finally done.
Yeah. And you know, and while joking, I mean, you see a lot of the shows that have, you know, chiropractors and gutter guys and all that stuff, right? Like, and I'm not knocking them, you know, they're salespeople, and so good for them. But that's something I would like to stay away from.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we stay away from them.
Rob loves getting into conversations with the gutter guys.
Oh, you know what? Damn it! I would just about let a gutter guy in just to hear Rob's conversation with him.
I think we have one guy that has a little bit of a tie-in, and we're like, we're gonna let him in.
We did. We actually, for Charlotte, we let an electrician in. That's a reptile guy, and he's like,
that's cool.
Yeah, he's like, you know, maybe I can talk to people about generators and things like that, right? And I'm like, yeah, dude, you know what? That kind of makes sense. Like, yeah, let's do this and see how it's perceived, right? And so, yeah.
He's a mascot too. What did he say? He had a bearded?
He's got like a little bearded dragon or something he's going to bring or something to put with this display. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's already 10,000 times better than the gutter guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's funny about that is I think in Denver we've gotten a few registrations, like a realtor, I think, and like that kind of stuff, and they're not in.
Yeah. Or like they want to sell carpet or like rugs or something, and then they're like, "Well, we have ones that are reptile related," and I'm like,
it's like, shut up, no.
Yeah.
You don't watch rugs in the reptile room. You have musk in your carpet. Great, awesome.
Yeah. So it is funny that, you know, there's these people out there just looking to get in front of more people that way, like, which is great for them. Like I said, right? They're salespeople, man. They're trying to do their job, but it's just not the fit, right? And you don't want that. I don't want that. Nick and I don't want that perception or that value. Like, perceived shit value of having those kind of people in there.
Well, what's one of the funnier things like out here that some of the reptile shows do have in Denver is Renewal by Anderson, who does windows. Like I run a window company, so it's even funnier. Like when I do see these guys at the show, and dude, you are in the wrong crowd, because like Renewal by Anderson is like, hey, you have 10 windows, great, it's $105,000.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
do this, and I'm like, you know, these people have no money. Like they're
They're reptile people.
very irresponsible. And
yeah, they're gonna go buy a reptile before they ever buy a gutter or a window.
Yeah, like you're gonna tell them how much it costs for their house, and they're like, oh, well, I rent the house, so
Yeah.
free now.
I'll get a new house for that price. Like,
Yeah. Well, not out
They're
here.
gonna go spend. They're gonna spend $100 on a space heater to help with the draft from the windows.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Before they do anything else. Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
So
Oh,
we avoid those definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
respect.
How do you have you have diversity of reptile species in the show, but then you have gutters and no people and chiropractors? I think I've seen chiropractors at some.
Nobody's selling tens units or anything like that. So yeah.
Just electricity.
Just electricity. Yeah, we're gonna give that one a shot.
okay. See, you've got to get an electrician, a plumber, and a carpenter, and then you can have like, hey, you can build the enclosures, you can plumb them, you can get them all fixed.
Yeah,
good to go.
I mean, yeah, you know, Joe from JSA talked to me about talking to the guys. God, I'm gonna forget their name. I think they're out of Texas, but it's the guys that do all the tanks. Like they did all the stuff at like bar checks and stuff, like the big rock.
Universal Rock.
Universal Rock. So Joe knows those guys pretty well, and we thought I wouldn't mind having a conversation with them. I think that would be interesting to have them at the show and maybe see if they could like build something Saturday and Sunday. People could maybe watch that progression or something. And so maybe something like that comes together, right? And it's something you don't necessarily see at a show a lot, and so just something different. And so maybe that comes together.
There's a business idea that you just become a contractor that only builds reptile rooms. You'll never get paid, and but you can do it.
You definitely don't want me building your room. Don't put me on that. Yeah.
Everything will be done on payment plans, and it'll be like every other month. It'll be fine.
Yeah, only half of it will work.
Yeah.
Me and Lisa are the worst, man. We are not good carpenters. We try, man. It's not. I might as well just pay for somebody to come do it.
Yeah, I feel that, dude. I frequently reminisce on old piece of crap racks that I had built in the past. That yeah.
Nowadays, we had these like 4 foot by 8 foot enclosures my wife and I built back in the day for iguanas, and I wish I had pictures of them, man. Like, I'm glad cell phones didn't really exist the way they do now. Like it was so bad and just they work, but man, people would have had a heyday with those.
Well, I think the progression of stuff. I mean, now I'm a Class B contractor, so like I build stuff for another living. But I look back at the stuff that I made too, and I'm like, oh man, like I remember. I think it was on ballpythons.net, or it was on Reptic Zone. Is Reptic Zone still around?
Oh, I don't know, actually.
Yeah, if it is, I hope it hasn't changed, because it was so terribly, like, a terrible format. But I remember, like, this plan for a ball python rack, and you built it out of 2x2s and pegboard. And, and, like, in Colorado especially, like, pegboard is not... So that was like my first rack I built, and it was like those massive wrapping paper storage tubs. They're like 5.5 foot long, and like wheel. You're like scraping urates out of like the wheels, and like fighting that you have no humidity, because like the thing has like handle spots that go down, and like the snake can get out at this spot because the pegboard pushed it up a little bit. And oh man, I have pictures of stuff.
Oh,
and I think there was one that was like those steel Home Depot like garage shelves that have like the particle board.
Yeah.
Switched out the particle board, but we bolted plexiglass around it as the doors.
Oh man.
Oh man, when one snake took a piss and it just went down into the next one.
Oh.
It was great.
Oh God.
That's how long we've been around.
Yeah.
Shit.
Rob, remind me, Rob, where do you live?
I'm in like the Durham area, so right near Raleigh.
Okay.
It's like 2 hours from Charlotte.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll see you this coming weekend at the Raleigh show. All right.
Yep.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Hey.
So Nick flies in Friday night. I get in Friday afternoon. So, yeah, looking forward to, checking out the show while we're there. We're going to maybe a little last ditch effort of being in front of people. While Raleigh has Repticon going on. And then Nick and I actually drive from there down to Daytona. And then Nick flies into Daytona. Nick lives the good life, man. I'm treated like a peasant, and I got to drive all over.
You will not fly. Don't
True.
try to be like, I'm the peasant, blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah,
and
it's
then
true.
like,
I'm not gonna fly.
and then he's like, here's the Airbnb I want.
Yeah, I just drive all over the country. So, but you're looking forward to it. Looking forward to Raleigh this weekend, and then hitting Daytona, and then it's kind of game time for Nick and I. Like weeks later, Denver hits, and then obviously Charlotte right after, and so it seems like crunch time is knocking on the door.
Yep.
Tundra desert plants. I see a question. They're asking you, Troy. So.
Oh, I can't see the comments.
Oh, there we go. Let's see. I'll pop it up on the screen.
Oh, Nick, this is all for you, man. I need them for my rock monitors. Specialize in tundra desert plants. I could probably say something stupid, to try to sound smart, and it's not going to work. And so I'm going to let my buddy Nick answer. My good buddy Nick here at Apex his question.
For Kansas, or I'm assuming Kansas. I think I saw some comments back there. I hope I don't come across as a jerk. Tundra and desert are vastly different. But desert plants, yes. So we do have. I guess for Kansas, we're going to be pushing. We're pushing for that.
Yeah, we've talked to a couple pretty awesome plant places. A couple of them have signed up, but I just don't know what they carry. Maybe if you do yet or not, Nick. I know that's one thing I will say really quick is the plant people send us what they carry, and we can tell the other plant guys. So it's not like us four are talking about which ball pythons are you bringing this weekend, because we're all going to bring the same ones anyways. These guys kind of work together. They're like, hey, if I'm bringing Hoyas, I'll bring whatever. And so that's been really interesting.
Yeah. So
that must be nice.
it's helpful. Well, so, it's obviously it's harder, right? Like a lot of these guys all grow. It goes. So there's some people that are really into aeroids, which is like philodendrons, monsteras, anthuriums,
plants,
Dieffenbachia, alocasia, colocasia, like those kind of things. Like people really like those because they're harder to kill because they do need more air to their roots. They climb, they get big leaves, they're cool looking. But then there's the specialty guys. So we have a person in Denver that's Front Range Gardens, who we just recently got to sign up, and he's going to be bringing a lot more things that are like desert plants, like euphorbias and ficus.
And I think, Nick, did I not see that he might be wanting to do Kansas City as well?
Did he say that in his email?
I think so. So that might be a spot for Nick at Apex to take a peek at it.
So he would be a phenomenal one for those kind of plants to be in with rock monitors. Because the only thing you're going to have to look into, and a lot of our plant vendors, there's some that really do know well, but then there's some that won't know very well. Like if a cricket or a dubia eats this and then my monitor eats it, is it going to
Yeah, toxic, yeah.
So, and then even on that though, there's certain species that prehensile-tailed skinks can eat pothos epipeperums and not die, but then if your dog eats a pothos, it will die. So there's that crossover too. Like, oh man, like what can do it? And there's a lot of this we just don't know, right? Out in the wild, like if you're in Brazil and you have some species of iguana that is eating these plants, you're not watching. You have no idea what kind of plants they're eating like crazy. So
right, we
throw it in. So I get asked a lot, like, "Oh, can I put this in here?" And I'm like, "Well, your bearded dragon's going to eat everything.
Yeah,
don't do that." Or ball pythons, like, "Oh, can I have a bioactive ball python?" I'm like, it's going to smash just about every plant that you could possibly have. I mean, maybe if it grows up in there, it'll like slowly go through it, but it's from the desert and it lives in a termite mound. Like they're not loving your snake plant that you just bought.
Yeah.
So
that is true.
We should hopefully in Kansas have a good mix of stuff. We work like the plant people. We work really well with diversity on that. Charlotte's actually got a pretty big group of plant people that are going to be vending our show. Like
that's awesome.
Denver, we've got like carnivorous plants. We've got more of the desert stuff. Like his name's Scott, Front Range Gardens. He could bring every species, but he's like, what should I bring?
Yeah,
and that's what's cool. Like talking.
It is really neat. Like, there's not one of us in the reptile world that if I, as a promoter, told you like, "Hey, man, don't bring that," like you're gonna find a way to bring it. You know what I mean? Like, versus these plant people like are like, tell me what the other plant people have and tell me what you think will sell. And Nick's been great at being able to give those guys a great list of things that work. And Denver was phenomenal for them. I was surprised as they were, which was interesting to watch them talk about, selling hundreds of dollars maybe in a weekend and then coming to our show and doing, $8,000 or something and selling out and having to go buy plants from a buddy and things like that. Like pretty cool stuff. But just their willingness to work with one another is a lot different than what we're used to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's tight.
From Apex, if you come to Denver for our Denver show, if you're from Denver,
he's from Kansas City.
Well, he said he's from Denver originally.
Oh, I didn't know that. All right. I'm sorry. I can't see the comments. I suck.
On StreamYard here, Troy, click comments on the right.
I suck.
We're only 77 minutes into this podcast, and Troy has just figured out the comments tab, but it's okay.
Well, so like on mine, if I have the comments tab up, it covers up you guys. I can only see the comments, and I hate it. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was on late to the mic, I always had two systems. So I had whatever was running this, and then I had another one out so I could watch the comments.
That's smart.
Yeah. Oh my dog! Stop! Oh my lordy! Hey, I'll just mute this for a minute.
I'm surprised that no one's heard my children screaming downstairs. 2-year-old and a 9-month-old, like, whew, that makes some noise.
Man. Yeah.
Oh geez.
Yeah, but
oh man.
Yeah, so that's been a really cool aspect of like the plant vendors and all that. Like that, our biggest plant vendor in Denver. Essentially, I gave them a list and said, "This is what you bring," and they were like, "Okay." So that's what they brought. They did well. That Tagawas is their name, is more of like our starter plant people. We have some plant people that like super rare. What I would really love is more vivarium plant people, but there's not a lot that do a lot and can do a show and make it worthwhile. Like if I did a show with just my vivarium plants that I had when I was at the peak of it, I was selling them with ball pythons. So I was like, okay, my ball pythons are paying for the tables, and okay, I've sold $1,500 worth of vivarium plants, and I'm not really pushing it. So I think we have we have Frog Daddy out in North Carolina. He does a lot of vivarium plants, and I bought from him. He's bought from me. We've known each other for years through that industry, and I hope he brings a lot of really cool rare stuff because I want to be able to advertise as such. But then a lot of the other guys are from Florida, or they're from California, or they're from, I think Glassbox Tropicals is from Michigan or something like that. It's
Oh, glass box is cool.
please, like that'd be great. And they usually don't. And they've also been lied to by Reptile Show people too, right? So I think that's what, like, we're advertising for plants. So like plant people are gonna come through the door. Like,
Heck yeah.
that's like the big main push. We want people to come in and be like, oh, I'm here for the plants, and then maybe they'll get convinced to buy a. Unfortunately, this is why ball pythons and crested geckos need to exist in the industry. Don't know how to breed anything. Hopefully, the first thing they buy isn't a green tree python.
Yeah.
True.
Honestly, you guys should start advertising on TikTok because there is a huge plant community on TikTok, like obscenely large amount of people on TikTok who are into plants.
Yeah, I was checking out TikTok advertising. So yeah, that's something I definitely would like to dive into. And Lauren, Nick's wife, has done a phenomenal job at Instagram and Facebook and stuff. And so hopefully her and I can chit chat about that because yeah, it does seem interesting, and it seems like there's a lot there that we're missing.
I'll tell you right now that I'm probably gonna have to be the one that does TikTok.
Are you? Were you afraid your wife gets on TikTok? You might lose her.
Yeah, that's it. She will get taken away.
Hell yeah.
Oh gosh. Heck yeah. No, I'm super stoked for all this, guys. It's going to be amazing. So, okay, so you have Denver, now Charlotte, and now Kansas City is the new location.
Yep. So we've got Denver is September, our VIP is 6th, and then 7th and 8th.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlotte is our VIP is the 20th, and then 21st and 22nd is our general admission, besides morning VIP on Saturday. And then Kansas City, Overland Park, Overland Park, is December 6th, 7th, and 8th. So VIP 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yep.
Which is sort of funny. September 6th, 7th, and 8th, and December 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah.
Meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and then we already have May for next year, for 2025, we have Charlotte is the second weekend in April. I want to say like the 11th, 12th. So I got to be really close. And then Denver 2025, April is the last weekend when it's like the 27th, 28th or something. Again, I'm sorry, I don't know these perfectly. 26th. And then May, Kansas City is the weekend of the 23rd.
Oh yeah.
Heck yeah.
And then we're searching for more, but four in the first year should probably be a good starting point.
Yeah, we're gonna get through the rest of this. Nick and I definitely have a couple on the horizon. I think we both are very interested in. And Nick and I have talked like, I don't think either one of us wants to get big enough where you lose that attention to what we want. And so if we get to 8 shows a year, 4 spring, 4 fall, or something like that, or maybe just keeping it under 10 shows, I think is kind of a goal for the 4 of us. And so far so good. And hopefully these ones, this fall stuff goes well. And then we can start working on adding something for 2025.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
I think you guys have already really established or made a large footprint with what's been talked about from Denver. I know what's going to happen in Charlotte is going to be great. So I'm excited to see what this turns into for you guys and what we can expect to see in the future. Because of course, again, if this is how we're just getting started, then it's really only up from there. So yes. I'm super excited for it. Yeah, I just can't wait. I'm excited.
No, we appreciate your excitement because that's what we hope.
Yeah.
We all work together and we have a community that is all wanting to do the same thing. We don't want to have just we're just going to come in and make some money. See you later.
Right.
Yeah. There's kind of this whole talk about show promoters and how they just make door money and blah, 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 blah. And they make money off the vendors. I can absolutely promise you that Nick and I walk into this show in trouble. And so, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot more work than I think people think. And it's a lot of traveling and back and forth and meeting with vendors and talking and emailing and, obviously the advertising part of it. We all kind of have a little bit of our own job show wise. And so it's a lot of work, but I promise you, I walk into a show just like a vendor does, kind of in the hole. And so, we want it to go well for them, and in turn, then it goes well for us. So
yeah, for sure.
Everyone's not succeeding. We're not succeeding. So,
yeah.
We don't want to do
That's the way to look at it.
I want to be able to lay my head down at night, man, and not feel guilty. And so I'm going to do everything in my power, and Nick too, that we're going to do our best to bring people a good show.
That's it.
Heck yeah.
It's the main goal. And hopefully have fun.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. No, I'm super stoked. Like I said, I think the way you guys have just busted down the door to get things started, it speaks volumes already. So I think you guys have really set stuff up for success. So I'm definitely excited for you guys and excited to see where this thing goes. As we round this out a little bit, is there anything else that you guys want to add as far as what's going on with the show? Anything special to look out for or anything like that?
So I was going to say, while we're in Raleigh, while you guys are there, if you're a vendor that's on the fence or anything like that, I think I get in late on Friday night, but Saturday night, if you want to go to dinner, I think Troy and I would love to be able to sit down with, if it's 20 of you, 50 is going to be really hard to find a place, but have a conversation, but we'd love to be able to actually talk one-on-one with you guys and actually build a relationship and rapport. So if you're in Raleigh area and you're contemplating this and you actually just want to get to know the two idiots that are here right now, would love to do that. And again, for Denver, all those that are watching for Denver, we're going, Saturday night is going to be a USARPE benefit hangout food silent auction thing. We won't do a traditional auction because we've already discussed this on lives. I don't have a very good announcer voice, so but
and unfortunately I might be a little bit too much like Potter when it comes to giving a mic at a show. I might say some shit that I'm gonna try to be a little more PC.
Yes.
Oh man. Have yeah. Well, thank you guys for coming on. We have to ask you one final question. I didn't warn you guys about it, and that's makes it even more funny.
All right.
So we ask all of our guests for every show one wrap-up question, and I'm sure I might not know the answer, so hopefully I don't. But if I do, I would expect it. What in the realm of reptiles, be it something you've got going on either with the show, at your own collections, whatever it might be, what in the realm of reptiles has you excited about reptiles right now?
I can go easy. I think it's the plant side. So Lisa and I, we bought some Leachianus, our son did, and whatnot through Chris at Epic Style, and building that tank with the live plants and stuff has been really neat. The Australian water dragon cage has been really fun for Lisa and I. Again, a lot of it because we've been able to add this plant aspect of it. And so I think that might be an easy answer for me, and just, learning, having something new to learn about. Instead of kind of the everyday ball python thing, I feel like that's really got me excited again about, even the reptiles, even though it's plant related. I think they go so hand in hand. We really want to try to make some really neat, terrariums or vivariums or whatever you want to say. So, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think in my personal collection, I really pushed to be I wanted to enjoy ball pythons again. So I always push to create something. I want that more than I want to sell it, and hopefully what I like gets attention, and so far it does. So that's in that aspect. But then I breed Coleonyx geckos, and I have a patternless Coleonyx variegatus. And
that's cool.
I've not seen any, there's leucistics, there's snow ones. So I'm excited about that. I want to see where that is. I presume it's most likely recessive, but I'm going to have to get it going and breeding and that kind of stuff. But Coleonyx have always had a little soft spot in my heart. So I've got elegans and my triatus and Utaiensis and all that. And I see the species that we're not allowed to have. And I'm how do I...
Yeah, come on, you can't.
Taki just never say that. I don't post these things, so it's not like I'm gonna like get caught, but I can't say it out loud.
Right.
Those get me excited, and then like the scrubs, and I have Angolans and Womas, and I've got some albino olive python stuff that hopefully one day I can work. The male that I had some weird genetic disorder called Ehlers-Danlos. You have loose skin, and super weird. I actually got it all diagnosed and everything, and so he actually ended up passing away. And even if I had thrown him in with the female, he would have been eaten alive. So those are the things that I'm excited about.
Hell yeah, guys. If people want to find out more about the show, how they can get involved, either becoming vendors or location info, where can they go to check you guys out?
Yeah, so website's pretty easy. It's All American Reptile Plant Expo, so just leave the "and" out. And then, basically the same thing with Facebook and Instagram. I think is the "and" in there? Either way, it's probably going to pop up. But website-wise, just drop the "and."
That's it.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Heck yeah, and I'll have all those links in the description of the clips or the videos, and of course for those audio only listeners, it'll be in the description as well. But heck yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming on. Definitely excited for the show, and
thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks guys. Super excited to have the show and just be able to hang out. That's
Rob, what's the next thing you're going to throw on the living room table to see if it hatches?
I just do that with the corn snakes because I'm in North Carolina. There are corn snakes in North Carolina. I'm like, it's close enough. Why not? Just who cares? They'll hatch out when they're ready. It's not that different inside than outside.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's pretty awesome.
Sweet.
I did turn the incubator off, but I had scrubs and I hatched out Borneos this year too. I just haven't really posted a whole lot of pictures of them.
All right. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, certainly looking forward to seeing you guys this coming weekend. And I don't know what your guys' plans are, but maybe we can all grab dinner too or something. So,
yeah, definitely be down for that. All right, guys. Thank you again, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
See you soon.
Absolutely. See ya.
See ya.